Welcome to Electric Perspectives, a podcast that explores the innovations and policies shaping the electric power industry and how America's electric companies are delivering the resilient clean energy we need to strengthen America's energy security and power our daily lives. This show is brought to you by EEI, the Edison Electric Institute, which represents all U.S. investor-owned electric companies. I'm your host, Brian Reel. It's been exciting to follow how electric companies across the country are developing creative ways to quickly connect new large customers like manufacturers and data centers, and how they're working with these large customers and their state regulators to protect ordinary customers in the process. Let's start the discussion with EEI President and CEO Drew Maloney. Drew, from your vantage point, what are you seeing and hearing right now?
Thanks, Brian. America's electric companies are committed to serving all customers, large and small. We understand that we operate the most critical engine in America, the electrical grid. We must provide affordable and reliable power to all of our customers every day. Data centers are critical infrastructure for our nation's economy and our national security. Electric companies are working closely with our technology partners to ensure that these facilities improve the grid and benefit all customers. We are seeing examples of this win-win across the country. One example is the partnership between Amazon Web Services and Entergy Mississippi, and the collaboration to deliver value for customers and the community while positioning the grid for the future. I also want to commend our state and federal policymakers for helping to create the environment to deliver these projects to our communities.
Great. Thank you, Drew. That's a great segue for our conversation today with Entergy Mississippi President and CEO Haley Fisackerly and Head of Energy and Water for the Americas for Amazon Web Services, Brandon Oyer. We'll discuss the partnership between Entergy Mississippi and Amazon to power data centers while also strengthening the grid and supporting local communities. We'll also discuss a new study by Energy and Environmental Economics, also called E3, on designing electric rates and tariffs for large loads like data centers based on real-world case studies on Amazon's partnerships with electric companies. Haley and Brandon, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Brian. It's great to be here and great to see you, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Appreciate you having us, and good to see you again, Haley. Hope all is well.
Brandon, tell us about your role at Amazon Web Services and how you work with energy partners, and then if you could tell us a bit about the data center investments your team's been working on with Entergy Mississippi, that would be great.
Yeah, as the head of Power and Water here for the Americas with Amazon Web Services, I have the distinct privilege of working with a bunch of very bright people around the country, Canada, Mexico, and South America. And that's both within my team and externally. We get to work with utility partners to craft rates and contracts that both power AWS on time at a cost that, delights our customers, while at the same time making investments into local communities. On the economic development impact, I love rattling off these stats. So let me run through them real quick. In Madison County, we're investing $10 billion to build 2 data center campuses and creating at least 1,000 full-time jobs. And in Warren County, which we've just recently announced, we're investing $3 billion, the largest private investment in the county's history, creating another 200 jobs at that data center campus, plus supporting about 300 additional jobs in and around the community. Combined, these investments will support an estimated 3,000 jobs to bring these data center campuses to life and add $3.9 billion to Mississippi's GDP. These all are well-paying jobs, including data center engineers, network specialists, operation managers, and security specialists. And while the ratepayer study is important, and I look forward to talking about it, the impact into the communities that we're having spreads further than just the ratepayer studies, and it's exciting to be a part of. So thanks again for having me this morning.
And Haley, can you provide an overview of how many customers Entergy Mississippi serves and the communities that you support?
Yeah, sure, Brian. Entergy Mississippi is one of the 5 operating companies of Entergy Corporation. We serve 460,000 customers in the western part of Mississippi, encompassing 45 of Mississippi's 82 counties. We've been serving the area since 1923. About 60% of our customers are coalesced in what we call the metro area around the capital city of Jackson. And that's where Amazon Web Services is making most of their investments there. Most of our customer base does in those 45 counties is a very rural area, a lot of agriculture. But in the metropolitan area and a capital city like there's a very diverse mix of businesses, education, some manufacturing. We didn't have a very large industrial base in Mississippi like our sister companies in other states, very heavy residential commercial. So having a large customer like AWS definitely changes our profile from that standpoint.
Let's go a little bit into that E3 study. What were some of the goals of the study, and what are some of the key insights and challenges and opportunities for large loads like data centers, and what can they do for the grid and for electricity customers?
The number one finding from that study is that Amazon data centers are not being subsidized by their utility customers. And I just want to continue to reinforce that there's not cross subsidization between a residential customer and large load customers, like such as an Amazon data center. We've seen this from study over study. If you look at the Joint Legislative and Audit Review Committee, JLARC in Virginia, they found that in 2024. If you look at Lawrence Berkeley National Labs report that was released in 2025, they found the same thing. In fact, we actually find that these investments are enabling the utilities to make investments for the broader grid that eventually ratepayers would have had to pay for. But now that a large load comes on board, they're able to absorb that cost. We find that data centers generate surplus revenues to the cost to produce and deliver electricity on the order of about $33,000 per megawatt in 2025, growing to $60,000 per megawatt in 2030.
And Brandon, I saw the study also found that Amazon data centers tend to generate revenues that meet or exceed their cost to serve, creating surplus value. So, what does that mean for customers?
So as these large loads come in, they're generating surplus revenue that enables the utilities to continue making investments while not causing a cross subsidization. And I think these crucial investments in grid infrastructure, they do everything from extending beyond the immediate needs to supporting local residents and even commercial growth while improving the reliability. So to be able to grow, make economic investment into a community.
And Haley, how do you and your team at Entergy Mississippi see large customers like Amazon helping your efforts to strengthen the grid and to deliver value to customers?
Well, Brandon touched on a good bit of that. And if you take a moment to think about regulated utilities, we have an extensive infrastructure that we use to serve our customer: power plants, transmission line, distribution lines. And a lot of these are fixed cost. Our industry at the same time is facing aging infrastructure, needs to reinvest in that, weather risks that are impacting our business more and more, and then customer expectations. Today, the way we work and live today, we're more dependent on electricity to power the things that we use in our life and to support the way we work. And though that means that's putting a lot of demand on this. And just to give you an example of where AWS is helping us change here, is that we've known for years that we need to make these investments. And the sad part was, without growth in our area, the cost of our business was escalating very quickly. I shared with you a little bit about our background and what we're made up of. What I didn't share was nearly 20%, over 20% of our customers live below the national poverty level. A larger portion are living paycheck to paycheck. And so affordability is a number one issue. But at the same time, if I need to deliver a more reliable grid, I have to make these investments. I'm also facing making these investments at a time where we're seeing escalating costs, both that we saw pre-COVID and post-COVID: supply chain challenges, labor costs, inflation. We're seeing things like the Ukraine crisis and things of the nature driving up commodity costs that are impacting our business, mainly natural gas. So we knew we needed to find something to help change that denominator. Who is a large customer we could bring in to help share this cost? And did we find it? Amazon threw us a lifeline. And what we're able to do is not only bring in this large customer that bring in all of these other benefits that Brandon talked about: new jobs, huge capital investment, new ad valorem taxes to these communities. But what it's allowing for us to do is to finally now making some meaningful investments that's going to allow us to improve the grid that serve all customers. Everything from, we're able to deploy new, more modern, cleaner generation in the new gas units we're building. We had over 600 megawatts of solar projects identified that we wanted to invest with, but didn't have a path forward until Amazon came to the table. We're also seeing them as they're paying the full freight of their costs. We're having to make upgrades in the transmission system that improves import capabilities that benefit everyone, but they're paying those incremental costs. Substations that will have to be built to serve their facilities, they're paying 100% of those costs. But Brian, what is more exciting about this, and it makes me excited, is that we know we've got to invest to improve reliability. We had a $600 million capital plan already planned just to make the investments to improve our grid. But because of the new revenues coming in from AWS, we're going to be able to increase that by over 50%, spending another $300+ million into our reliability plan, invest close to $1 billion. And all of this is going to bring huge value by better service, more reliable service at a more affordable rate. In fact, prior to AWS, we looked at what the investments were we needed to make. Because of them coming forward, we were able to pull a lot of those investments forward, invest them now before they saw huge cost increases later, and improve reliability. And we have a 50% reduction in outages with 50% increase in spending with no cost to customers because of the reliability, because of the revenues that AWS is bringing into the business. So this is exciting, transformative, and will make a difference in the lives of our customers and the communities we serve.
Yeah, Haley, I just I want to kind of lean in there for a second. When you say that we were paying all of our fair share, we've been working together since, I don't know, 2023 into the details of these contracts, early 2024, and now throughout. And this was much before there was a lot of the narrative out there that data centers were driving up costs. Back in 2023 or 2024, did you see us having the same mental model where we wanted to pay our fair share? We wanted to partner to make sure that we weren't impacting, or did you see a shift once the media picked up on this?
I've been in this business 30 years. I've been CEO of this company 17 years. I've negotiated a lot of deals. Amazon and AWS was a total different character. They were very cognizant to make sure they do not adversely impact our customers and communities. Their need was speed to market, reliable service, and they were definitely knew that they needed to make sure they are covering the costs that they were impacting on the business. And of late, it just seems to be there's a lot of misinformation and confusion around this latest growth of driving that. But it's not because of the rate design. AWS is covering the costs, those investments that have to be made that are incremental. And Brandon, as you know, in Mississippi, there was legislation passed to make this deal happen. And the governor of Mississippi, the Mississippi legislature, and the Mississippi Public Service Commission were very supportive of economic opportunity, but they made it very clear that this cannot harm existing customers. And the legislation states specifically that, in my words, that AWS is to pay their incremental cost to serve. And then they stuck another sentence in there, provide benefits back to customers. So that reliability plan that we're calling Superpower Mississippi is an example of that. But also these new investments that we're making in the grid, from new cleaner generation down to more enhanced transmission system, are going to improve all capabilities that benefit everyone connected to that grid.
And talking about some of those benefits, Brandon, how is your team working to support communities like those in Warren and Madison counties where these projects are? Obviously, there's the site of the data center itself, but it seems as though there's broader activity going on.
Yeah, well, in addition to being a good member of the community by, paying our fair share, like Haley just covered, and thanks for that. I wanted to, just take a moment to highlight that this isn't something new. This has been an operating tenant for Amazon for quite some time. So it's good to hear that, that's been the mental model. That's what I've been leading for the past few years for sure. But as far as like, defining a good rate structure and providing impact to the community, that's kind of table stakes for us. But we think we can we can be even more deeply committed to being good neighbors and contributing positively towards Warren County and Madison counties where we build our data centers. And our approach in operating into a community isn't new. We've been doing this for 18 years. If you look at Eastern Oregon, we've been operating as a part of the community. So what we've done is we've just doubled down on some of the history of what we've been building. We're making significant investments, and I've already covered, the $10 billion and the couple of campuses in Madison and the $3 billion in Warren County. So I won't rehash those. But we're also spending times and money to enable the workforce. And that's an important trait when we go and grow our business. There's not always the skill set that's needed. So we make investments to, build our own workforce. We've partnered with Mississippi to build a skilled workforce for the future, partnering with Mississippi AI Innovation Hub and the AI Talent Accelerator program. We've invested, nearly $400,000 into the Bean Path, which is a Jackson-based AI tech educational nonprofit that's impacted already 8,000 Mississippians. We're also proud to have finished the first cohort completed of the Infrastructure Pre-Apprenticeship Program in Holmes Community College. That program in particular has impacted multi-generations of one family there, and I can't wait to hear more success stories that we got there. These programs represent a commitment towards creating direct pathways from education to employment. And as part of like developing the workforce, we always want to benefit the community as well. So we've launched the Amazon Warren County Community Fund and funded with an initial $150,000 managed by a nonprofit, ChangeX. That grant supports local initiatives focused on STEM education, sustainability and environment, digital skills, cultural and heritage, and health and well-being. It's open to individuals, community groups, schools, nonprofits all across Warren County. So these are just a couple of the things that we do outside of building rates that aren't impacting our customers around us. We just want to have a lasting positive impact and be a good partner in the communities where we operate within.
And Haley, Entergy's long been a leader on workforce development and making sure that you're having positive community impacts. What have you all been seeing, and how does this complement the work that your team's doing?
I'm a fourth generation Mississippian, and so I am so excited what we're seeing here. Amazon has come in here. Brandon has talked about this, but we have brought a new partner into our state. We have been struggling with brain drain, jobs being lost. Amazon has come in. We have now brought a new sector in here, creating new job opportunities for young people. The billions of dollars that Brandon referred to that are being invested. Let me give you some facts around that. Of the $10 billion, the minimum $10 billion investment that Amazon's making into Madison County is estimated to generate an incremental $80 million a year in ad valorem taxes to Madison County. Half of that has to go to the local school district. Think about the young lives that are going to be changed. Better schools, better offerings of courses, and things going in an area that's growing, that was struggling to figure out how we do that. The infrastructure improvements, the water system improvements, the roads improvements. People there are talking about now, finally, they will not have to raise local taxes for some time because of the new revenue coming into there. And that releases stress. Amazon and Madison County Economic Development Authority have tracked the number of local businesses. Over 55 local businesses have gotten contract work or work directly working at these data centers. Think about that. These are small mom and pop business up to very large companies. We have seen 4 companies in Mississippi, manufacturers, have announced expansions. They make components used by data centers and the electrical industry. Over 2,000 jobs have been created in this. So the ripple effect is like one we've never seen before. But what really has impressed me, we've worked with a lot of great companies that have come in and made investments, but it's usually been made after they have built out their facilities and they're up and running. Another way where Amazon has made sure they have not been a negative impact, they've come in earlier, start to work with local educational groups, look at training opportunities, to look at other partnerships as they're building this out. So it's been just a partnership like we've never seen before. And when you think about all of those different businesses that are benefiting from this, the ad valorem taxes coming in through that, stop and think about how that has a positive impact on individuals and families locally. A lot of focus is on affordability around electric rates. Well, we know these data centers are not creating harm there. But when you start to measure the other economic ripple effects of this, it is going to have a tremendous impact on these communities and the lives of future generations.
And these partnerships are driving a lot of innovation, and it seems there's a big focus on helping to make sure that these big customers are achieving their energy goals. Brandon, can you give some examples of how these innovations are helping to ensure grid reliability, protecting customers from cost increases? And was this something that was covered in that E3 study we mentioned?
I've already mentioned the JLARC study from 2024 and the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab that came out this year. But we wanted to go to some of the industry leading experts with E3 and conduct another study just to make sure that we weren't missing something. So this study was really meant to disconfirm our beliefs, and what it actually did is it came and it shows what we were talking about here is that existing rates and policies and structures have been effective at preventing cross subsidization from Amazon data centers to existing utility customers. Um, we are also generating the excess revenue, that we talked about earlier. Now, I do want to, just highlight the fact that we do know that it's up to the regulators and the utilities to use that additional margin, and it's got to be subject to utility approval. But you've heard Haley talk about, they're making investment to go and modernize their grid. So we've seen time and time again that these rate structures are enabling the growth, but not causing cross subsidization. And Haley's already hit on the Superpower Mississippi campaign, so I won't go over that one. If you go and look around the country, now there's a couple of public announcements where we're continuing to innovate on different structures. The NIPSCO project in northwestern Indiana, where we created GenCo, which is a contractual structure such that NIPSCO can go and build new generation, and all risk is borne by NIPSCO and Amazon Web Services for that project. It's ring fenced such that none of the ratepayers, if there's cost overruns, they're not impacted. We are taking all the risk along with our utility partner. So that one's an exciting one to go look at. That's publicly announced. As part of that contract, we're also paying back $1 billion over the 15 years towards to the NIPSCO customers. Again, like positively impacting the existing ratepayers, not asking for cross subsidization. We've got continuous track record here of creating structures that, while we control our cost, and we know that our customers always from AWS want to have more services and reduce cost over time. So we want to control our costs, but we want to pay our fair share. So it's this balance. And I think the E3 study really shows that the how we've been tackling these problems over time are proving to be effective. And we'll continue to innovate and look at new ways to continue growing the business. But right now, I'm proud to be a part of this organization. Proud to work with partners like Haley and Entergy, and watch the positive impact to the communities.
And you had mentioned balance, and I know that electric companies are always looking to balance affordability with reliability needs and expectations. Haley, how do these projects align with your efforts to deliver both of those things for customers?
Yeah, Brian, we were mentioned earlier, I told you that we were faced with this dilemma when we knew we had to make a lot of investment in this business and we were not growing here in Mississippi. And those costs were going to have to be borne by existing customers. What Amazon allowed us to do was to pull forward. For example, in our plan, we knew we were going to have to build 2 new power plants post 2030. We knew that we had an opportunity to deploy more solar renewables and batteries, but without the growth, we were going to face with 2-1. The latter parts would not have really come to fruition without a customer. But more importantly, when we would get around to building these new assets, we were going to have the existing customer base have to take on those costs. Well, by the fact that we were able to pull those projects forward, we're saving customers over $2 billion. These plants are also much cleaner. They use less water. They also are much cleaner technologies. They will have CCS capability, carbon capture capabilities, the ability to use hydrogen if and when that ever becomes economic. But that alone will save over $700 million in commodity costs to our customers. It also, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of those reliability investments we're going to have to make are now going to be borne for that. We're dealing with more storm cost every year. Now having a large volume customer like Amazon at the table, they're allowing to share in those fixed costs that are borne with that and create a lot of rate relief to our customers. So it's a huge value in the sense of what it's doing to and providing a large user to help share in the cost of these large investments, but also do it in a cleaner, more efficient, and reliable way for future generations. And so that's the exciting part. We're doing things right now that I can only imagine, and we would not have been able to do had this opportunity not come forward with Amazon.
Well, we'll include a link to this study in the description for anyone looking for a little light reading over the holidays. But thank you both for spending some time with us today and really just for sharing all these examples of how electric companies and big, large customers are working together to find creative solutions that really are delivering a lot of benefits for a lot of customers.
Yes, thank you, Brian. It's great. And Brandon, great to be with you today to tell this story. We're excited about what Amazon has brought to our state and look forward to a long, prosperous relationship with you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian and Haley. Look forward to seeing you next. And yes, it's the same. Look forward to continue growing and doing the right thing and being part of the community. So thank you all.
And that's our show for today. Thank you for listening, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. To learn more about EEI's members and the electric power industry, visit our website at eei.org.